Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, Chase Sr. here with you. Two stories that we want to get to. The Dallas Cowboys getting some bad news with the regular season set to start in the not-too-distant future. And also, today was the preseason finale for the Philadelphia Eagles as they took on the Minnesota Vikings at Lincoln Financial Field. There was not a lot that transpired in that game, but a couple of takeaways as far as my instant reaction goes. We just got done our watch party. Appreciate all of the real ones who tuned into that. And the next time that we're doing a watch party, game matters in the win-loss column. Eagles, Packers in Brazil. And speaking of that, in addition to a show like this, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. As you can see here to my right, we are 37 people away from 79,000 subscribers. So if you want watch parties and you want live shows and you want daily Eagles shows like this, hit that subscribe button right now. Chase Sr., Philadelphia Eagles Now, informative, insightful, entertaining content coming your way on the regular right here on YouTube. So the breaking news today on this Saturday is that Cowboys first team All-Pro cornerback Daron Bland is out 6 to 8 weeks with a stress fracture in his foot. This is a massive development that really hinders that Cowboys defense, which is entering and ushering in a new era with Dan Quinn, now the head coach with the Washington Commanders. And Daron Bland is an excellent player. So this defense just simply not going to look the same in that secondary. Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, with this tweet, another injury hits the Cowboys defense because they've certainly been banged up. Daron Bland will undergo surgery to repair a stress fracture in his foot. He's set to miss those 6 to 8 weeks. He experienced discomfort on Wednesday, and then imaging revealed a stress fracture in his foot. Now, of course, when you think about the Cowboys, this directly impacts the Philadelphia Eagles, especially because I imagine Dallas and Philadelphia, in fact, I think that these are going to be the two top teams in the NFC East. And Bland last year was a first-team All-Pro for a reason. Excellent corner, big-time player, a playmaker, an explosive player at that cornerback spot, and he honestly put together one of the more impressive cornerback seasons that we've seen in recent memory for reasons that I'll explain here in a moment. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 90.4, a coverage grade of 89.9, really good against the run, 86.5 run defense grade there. Pass rush grade of 71.6. So those are all very elite numbers. How about a passer rating surrendered of 50.9? That is excellent. And then you take a look at the interception numbers and the touchdown numbers. When I mentioned that Daron Bland was a big-time playmaker, putting his fingerprints on games and changing the complexion of ball games, he led the NFL with 9 interceptions, and 5 of those 9 picks went back for touchdowns. So while Dallas gets back Trayvon Diggs, they're thinking we are going to have 2 marquee, dynamic, dynamite playmakers at the cornerback spots with Diggs and Daron Bland. And that forms to be an excellent cornerback duo. Diggs coming off that torn ACL from last year, but now they are going to be without Bland for the foreseeable future. As for how this impacts the Eagles do not play the Dallas Cowboys until November 10th. So this injury will not directly impact the head-to-head matchup unless the injury turns out to be something that is more long-term and problematic. But when you look at the landscape of this NFC East, Dallas has talent, but the vibe around the team is weird. I think the Washington Commanders could be a team that surprises a lot of people, and they could win a lot of games, but they do have a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels and some question marks on that roster. Are they going to go to a point where they're winning the NFC East? I don't think they're going to improve that dramatically, but I think they're going to be feisty here in 2024. And then as you project into the future, they're going to be a dangerous team because I think Daniels is going to be a special quarterback. I think that he offers Washington this dual threat ability where he is electric. But there is no reason why the Eagles shouldn't win the NFC East. They are better than the Dallas Cowboys. They are better than the Washington Commanders. They are much better than the New York Giants. And so this injury will impact this Dallas football team. And if they get off to a slow start, they start week 1 on the road against Cleveland. Not an easy game. And the Eagles do start fast. Then in that first month or two of the regular season, they're able to separate themselves from their NFC East counterparts. And you win the division, you get a home football game, at least one of them, at Lincoln Financial Field. And throwing it back to the weird vibes around the Dallas Cowboys, what an odd offseason this has been for Dallas, especially considering they won the NFC East last year. Then they got annihilated in the wild card round at home by the Green Bay Packers. You're thinking they're going to make wholesale changes, right? No marquee free agency moves. Maybe the most noteworthy free agency move they made was bringing back Ezekiel Elliott, who is clearly a couple of years past his prime. They elect to bring back Mike McCarthy, expiring year of his deal. Is he a lame duck head coach? If the Cowboys start slow, is he going to get canned? If they have a bad season, is the chatter all year going to be about Mike McCarthy getting fired? Fans did not show up to Cowboys training camp in droves, in numbers like they have in years past in Oxnard, California, because they understand this team has been disappointing for the last 3 decades. They haven't made it to an NFC championship game, and every year it's the same thing over and over. They might win some regular season games, but then they fall on their faces in the NFL playoffs, and because of that, fans are tired of it, and they didn't show up to training camp in the massive numbers like they usually do as quote-unquote America's team. They haven't gotten a Dak Prescott deal done. No CD Lamb deal done. He continues to hold out. So all of these things contribute to some weird vibes around the Cowboys. They wanted Stephon Gilmore back. He signed with the Minnesota Vikings. So again, I just think that the Eagles are in a spot here where they flush what happened at the end of last year after that late season collapse. You improved at OC, improved at DC. You have an uber-talented roster. You fulfill a weakness and bring in Jahan Dotson, and now you're playing in a division that should absolutely be winnable. Takeaways from this preseason finale coming up around the corner. First, if you hate the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to type F Dallas down in the chat and hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Our sponsor for today's Saturday edition of Eagles Now, hope everybody out there is having a great weekend, is GameTime. And if you want to make your weekends fun-filled, download the GameTime app, because the GameTime app is the best app if you want to go to a sporting event, comedy show, concert, theater event. There are so many features that I love about the GameTime app. Authorized ticket marketplace of the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and the NBA. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. All-in pricing, I suggest that you toggle that tool because it shows you your total up front with none of those surprise fees at checkout, which always seem to happen on these ticketing apps. You want to go to a Philadelphia Eagles game, they will have their home debut and home opener, week 2, prime time, against the Atlanta Falcons. You want to go to Eagles, Packers in Brazil. Lofty tickets, but still plenty of tickets available. So download the app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. See the view from your seat before you buy. Lowest price guaranteed. All right, some takeaways from this Eagles-Vikings preseason finale. And for those of you who were among the near 30,000 people who tuned into our watch party, Chip and I were talking about it. This game was brutal to get through. The Eagles didn't play any of their ones. They didn't play a lot of their twos. And they played and trotted out a lot of players who were not going to make this team. A couple of takeaways that I have from some of the Eagles' actions pregame. Eagles starters did not even dress. Players like Nakobe Dean did not even dress. Will Shipley did not dress. Of note, James Bradbury and Avonte Maddox did not dress. What that tells me is that the Eagles like their prospects of making the 53-man roster for Bradbury and Maddox as backup safeties and as players who can fill in at cornerback if they need to. So I think the fact that they did not suit up goes a long way in saying I think they're shoo-ins to make this 53-man roster. Cooper DeJean did make his professional debut. Some good, some bad. I thought physically he looked the part. With his speed, you saw it on display from time to time. The first time that he was on the field in a significant manner, he did get whistled and flagged for illegal contact downfield, which did take away an interception that would have gone to Tristan McCollum. And then shortly thereafter, Cooper DeJean got beat out of the slot, which is where he was primarily playing. And if it was a high-level NFL wide receiver, it was a really good throw from Jaren Hall. Maybe the wide receiver gets his feet down, but I thought DeJean did a decent job in recovering with that long speed and then kind of forcing the receiver to the sideline. Keep in mind that he hasn't played live football or a football game since last November and just started partaking in team drills with Philadelphia coming off that hamstring injury. So I think that's of note. One of the positives that I saw from DeJean, he made a TFL on a running play for a loss of 1 on a play where he was kind of in that hybrid linebacker role, and he was able to re-diagnose the play, make the tackle. Toward the goal line, he was once again in a hybrid linebacker role and kind of was able to get off of a block to help make a tackle. I really want to see the Eagles use him in a very versatile way where maybe he's kind of a positionless player where you can use and incorporate him all around the defense because he's a good athlete, he has good instincts, he can play inside, outside, hybrid linebacker, around the box. I think over time, he can play a little bit of safety. He has some of that speed and physicality. Just find ways to get him on the field. And then the Eagles, as I had hoped for, they did use him as a punt returner later in the game. Unfortunately, he didn't really have many opportunities to show anything there. Britton Covey, also not dressing. Jahan Dotson was with the Eagles. He did not dress. He did say after the game, though, in meeting with the Eagles media, that this is the most talented team that he is on. Some players in uniform for Philadelphia: Paris Campbell, Oren Burks, Nolan Smith. I don't think that Paris Campbell is definitely going to make this 53-man roster after the acquisition of Jahan Dotson. I think his seat is a little bit warm. The same can be said for Oren Burks, who got hurt early in training camp and just returned. He did make some good plays against the run, against the pass, used as a blitzer, but I think the Eagles might like Ben Van Sumeren over a player like Oren Burks. If it comes down to special teams ability, both of them can do that, but Ben Van Sumeren is a younger player. Nolan Smith. Some people have their stock down on Nolan Smith because he's played a lot in this preseason. He did not register a sack here today. He did have a sack in each of the first 2 preseason games. This is a younger player who's a raw player, and Vic Fangio wants him to play to get him seasoned and experienced. I don't think it's a matter of the Eagles not liking him being in danger of not getting playing time this year. He's an athletic player with twitch and speed and bend off that edge, and he certainly has pass rushing ability. I just think that he needs to be developed a little bit more, and that's why he's been playing. Keep in mind that Bryce Huff had to play a lot last week because Vic Fangio wanted him to understand the complexities and the nuances of this new position, and he wanted him to get quality reps. So those are some notes that I have there. Ty Davis-Price, certainly a talented running back. I don't think the Eagles are going to keep 4 running backs. If they did, I think TDP was going to be that guy who was going to make the team as that 4th running back. He looked awesome on the first drive, then he fumbled. And then for the rest of the game, the Eagles' offense was just terrible. So those are my takeaways. Not a lot of them from that preseason game because not a lot of quality players were in uniform for Philadelphia. Beautiful day in South Philadelphia, not a beautiful game, and it was 26-3. Eagles' offense and defense was kind of a mess. Biggest winner of Eagles preseason is who? Drop me a name or names down below in the comment section. I do want to give credit to Ainias Smith. Early in camp, early in preseason, he didn't look good. He started to look a little bit faster with a little bit of wiggle. He's not my biggest winner of the Eagles preseason, but his stock and how he's played of late, how he's practiced of late, might help him make that 53.